Do you believe that you can fly?
No.
Up into the night sky?
Nope.
Die, 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 die?
Those are not even the lyrics of the song.
I'm trying to make it rhyme here. Why you don't want the power of flight?
I really don't. It would be so cold. I'm already cold. Feel my toes. Feel how cold my toes are.
Yeah, sure. Let me see.
No, never mind.
That was a moment in the life of Chavez and Skittin', unadulterated, uncut. I saw the one where you don't want super speed. Still don't believe in that. That's a bunch of bullshit. Still definitely want super speed, 100%.
I could be like Zach and Cody when they ran all around the Earth and they reversed the Earth's rotation and then it went back in time and then they were in Jurassic times and then they had to do it over again so that they could get back to the present.
And then what happened? Please, this sounds fascinating.
Is that not what most people think of when they think of super speed?
Absolutely not. But why you don't want the power of flight? Mostly because I'm still scared of heights. Probably either way, I'd be terrified of heights.
I don't want to be cold.
It would be freezing fucking cold and probably would encounter way more bird shit.
And bugs.
Do with the video we're watching.
Nothing, but that's
what. The story.
But that's what it just reminded me. Like when we said encounter bugs, I was like, speaking of bugs, my job is trash because
bugs everywhere. They love light. So if anywhere you're wondering, if you get a big, is it a white light or a yellow light?
It's a white light.
Yeah, if you get a giant white light and shine it over your place of work, it will attract bugs.
I thought it was moths, and I was like, not super stressed. No, they're like this big.
Grasshoppers and moths and all that.
This big.
Yeah, they love it.
Why do you need to be this big?
It's bug crack. 100%.
Why do you need to be this big? Nobody needs to be this big.
All right, let's go to the video.
I'm sorry, I'm upset.
It's fine. Play. Oh, play. Oh, play.
This is why you don't want to fly like a superhero.
If I had to guess, the power of flight is the most desired superpower. And don't get me wrong, if you could fly around like Superman all day, it would be pretty dang awesome. You could
It'd be whack.
Make your daily commute an adventure. You can see the whole world from a new perspective. And airlines? Oh, who needs them, buddy? But this is what pop culture says is possible. If we think about the potential drawbacks of a power like flight scientifically, I don't know if you'd even want it.
Now, to be fair, it does seem like the safer of the options of superpowers that we've seen.
First, I want to be very clear about what I mean when I say you don't want to fly, because the power of flight has many more interpretations than a power like super strength. The kind of flight that we will be interpreting is, I think, the most common version of it. An epic ability that allows someone like Superman or me just go. If we have to start evaluating thrust and fuel requirements, this analysis isn't going to really get off the ground. I will argue that though this version of flight sounds awesome, it would be more hassle than it's worth. So much so that traditional air travel just might be preferable. $30?
Let's just assume that you can just fly, right?
But that's not, he's talking about the science behind it, so we're not going to make that assumption.
That is bold. Let's consider flying at high altitude first, because if you could fly, you probably will not be going very high. The Earth's atmosphere does not have a definite boundary with space, but we consider it to extend all the way from the surface out to around 100 kilometers, what we call the Kármán line. And as you move further away from the surface, the air in the atmosphere thins way out. The Earth's atmosphere is not evenly distributed. A full 80% of the Earth's atmosphere is crammed into just the first 10 kilometers above the surface. This leads to a drastic difference in air density, which leads to a drastic difference in oxygen availability.
So
flying above the clouds, oxygen availability will be your first altitude limiter. If you go,
you would just die. That's the other option.
Okay. You didn't even laugh at my joke.
What is your joke?
Leaning in.
Oh.
you just got.
Just makes my life editing hard. Ha ha. I like when you work hard when you have to edit your vids. Hilarious.
Continue the video.
Just waiting for you to be done.
I'm done.
No, you're not.
Yes, I am.
Go ahead and get the last bits out.
Oh, I'm good.
This 4 meters you would pressure when he dropped from space, just to keep your.
All right. Let's readjust here.
Yep.
body from dying, like Felix Baumgartner wore when he dropped from space.
Ooh.
Go up around 12 kilometers and you would need to breathe pressurized oxygen like scuba divers do. Up around 4 kilometers, you would need oxygen still, and it would only be once you got below this 4-kilometer line, about 2.5 miles, that you would be able to safely breathe the air around you. So you can forget if you had the power of flight flying over Mount Everest just for fun.
Paging Kyle Hill in the terminal.
Gate 42.
Do not let any strangers pack your luggage without...
These altitude-based oxygen limits aren't just suggestions.
So whack. You'd have to be fucking
low
medical flyman with a big ass air tank.
Either. Fly too high and you can pass out almost immediately. Do you know
Well, there goes another one.
why airlines tell you to put on your own mask before assisting others in the event of a rapid decompression? It's because when your body is exposed to ultra-thin air, you may have only a few moments of useful consciousness. For example, at a common cruising altitude of, say, 40,000 feet, you can become dangerously oxygen deprived in just 5 seconds.
Jesus.
And you pass out shortly thereafter. And I'll tell you, crashing into the ground from this height would end your super life super quick. I mean,
this is your captain speaking. We're probably going to be fine. I wouldn't worry about it, but I will be honest with you, nothing in here has any numbers on it, so kind of just winging it.
So I only know that because of course there's a part of communication. We talk about health and safety of people, how you communicate important information, you know what I mean? And they were like, that's why it's so important. They keep telling people, don't put on your kid's mask before you put on your own, because your kid can't help you put on your mask.
Right.
But if they pass out and you put the mask on them, they'll still be fine. So literally everybody just goes, oh, I'll put my kid's mask on first. I'm not gonna prioritize myself first. Like, well, you're gonna be passing out while it happens.
Going to be an orphan.
You're probably gonna kill you both. So you're fighting with them to get it on, then you pass out because you don't have your oxygen thing on. And they don't want it to get theirs on, so they take it off and do shit kids do. You both die. So
I would put your mask on before I put my mask on.
You're foolish. You're very, very foolish. Okay.
Other altitude limiter for human superflight also has to do with how thick the atmosphere is, and its temperature. The amount of heat energy in a system is directly related to the amount of mass in that system.
Nothing to me.
I have to listen to what he's talking about here.
The amount of heat energy in a system is directly related to the amount of mass in that system. And so, as we said, you go higher up in the atmosphere and the mass per unit volume goes way down.
That makes sense.
So the heat energy is going to go down. So in general, the higher up in the atmosphere that you go, the way colder it gets.
Yeah.
This increase here is just because of the ozone layer, and it, you know, helps life on Earth be. Now, where do you think your comfortable temperature zone would be based on this chart? Because before you even get 10 kilometers up, it's negative 50 degrees Celsius outside, and that would freeze your pee. If you didn't want to go any higher than 4 kilometers in the atmosphere because of oxygen availability, you wouldn't want to go any higher than 3 kilometers because of temperature.
That's a good question.
Any higher than that, and you would literally start freezing.
So yes. In, out,
in my body.
All of it. You're frozen. You're an icicle.
Alright, so you can't fly as high as you thought. So what? You'll just do all of your superheroing, not enough oxygen, getting woozy. So you can't fly as high as you thought. So what, right? You'll just do all of your superheroing. It is freezing up here. Just 1 second. So you can't fly as high as you thought. So what? You'll just do all your superheroing closer to the ground at top speed, right? Well, unfortunately, you'd be velocity limited too.
Really?
What?
Another problem with flight, specifically flying really fast, is again, temperature.
Yes.
Right now, your body is most likely in contact with some kind of air, I hope. And when those air particles hit your body, if they are colder or have less energy than your skin, when they hit your skin and bounce off, they will gain a little bit of energy, and your skin will lose a little bit of energy.
Oh, so it's like when you're in a convertible and you're driving and you feel really cold even though it's hot outside.
Right.
Got it.
This effectively lowers your skin temperature in a process called convective cooling. This happens even when you're standing still, but once you start moving through the air, you're giving your body more opportunities to have these little collisions and these little energy exchanges. So the faster you go through the air, the more your rate of convective cooling increases, and that's why the wind starts to feel colder.
Okay.
What I'm getting at is if you fly through the air at high velocity like Superman, you can experience significant wind chill as...
Okay, so wind speed, what is this in miles per hour? I hope.
Sure.
Temperature in Celsius, what is the wind speed in miles per second? Minutes per second?
Miles per second.
What is M/S?
I said miles per second!
You're gonna go with that?
That's my final answer. I'm locking it in.
Miles per second? 2 miles in a second? 4 miles in a second?
Meters?
It's probably not miles.
Fuck off. I meant meters. I just realized you were saying miles. I meant meters.
I was like joking and you were like, you committed to it.
No,
I was like,
because like you
14?
said miles and I was gonna be like, no, meters, but I said miles and I was like, yeah, I'm right, miles.
So yeah, when you're in Celsius, it's probably meters.
Fuck off, meters. Nobody uses fucking meters.
I don't even really know how far that is. I just know it's not very. But okay, so at about 12, very cold at negative. Yeah, that's fucking freezing. So you can't go anywhere. Okay, so.
Stupid.
As this chart shows, and depending on the ambient temperature, even if you go as slow as 100 kilometers or 60 miles per hour through that air, you can get frostbite on your skin from wind chill per hour.
How many?
Ambient temperature, even if you go as slow as 100 kilometers or 60 miles per hour.
Okay, so this is 60 miles an hour here.
No, that's
right
technical.
Here. At like 14. At about 14.
Through that air, you can get frostbite on your skin from wind chill.
That's not even on the highway, bro. That's crazy.
Minutes. Stop.
You go to the highway
if heat
and you
loss
have
doesn't slow
frostbite.
you way down, something more immediate will. A mid-air collision.
Right.
Bird strike is not the name of a cool avian superhero. It is instead the term for when a plane unfortunately hits a bird
Kills
mid-flight.
a bird. Not hits. Kills. Destroys, demolishes, evaporates a bird. Yeah, we got it.
There are an estimated 13,000 bird strikes in the US alone each year. And it can be very, very serious because although birds are very small, relatively speaking, compared to airplanes, their change in momentum and therefore their force on impact can be huge. When a plane hits a bird mid-flight, the bird will go from whatever small velocity it was flapping along at to the plane's velocity, which is enormous in a very, very short amount of time. And from smart boy Isaac Newton's equations, we know that even though the bird weighs hundreds of thousands of times less than the plane, this force is still going to be tremendous.
Yeah.
What? Oh, Zone 2 is boarding? Yeah, no problem.
Before he dies, that's just his last words.
Even if we assume a very small bird, just 1 pound and 1 foot long, and an average cruising velocity for our plane of 550 miles per hour, the average force on the plane from this tiny bird could be as high as 90,000 newtons, 20,000 pounds of force. From this simple calculation, I think you can see how bird strikes can and do damage and disable aircraft. And aircraft are made out of metal and meant to fly. So now imagine what a single unlucky bird strike would do to you or your face cone. Yeah, so to minimize the chances of being fatally struck, you would want to slow way down again, way below the speed at which airplanes...
Oh, excuse me.
So I can fly at like 5 miles per hour?
You gotta be up here chilling, bro. Just, you know, like a backstroke in a pool, but in the air. Which still might be pretty cool. I think we're gonna end the video there. There is definitely a lot left.
Jesus, why?
A lot of jokes, a lot more data, a lot more things I'm actually gonna watch on my own. But with Skitting here with you, I'm gonna let her off the hook with that. Let me know if you guys still would like to fly, even if it's gonna be really slow, really cold, and not a lot of air.
And potentially deadly due to birds.
Yeah, definitely deadly
or
due to birds.
large insects.